I was driving to work this morning, I was listening to another radio station, as we broadcasters sometimes do. What I heard shocked and saddened me.
The Entertainment Roundtable.
They're here, nerds.
Wait, is this the group that goes around mutilating squirrels?
You just mind your P's and Q's, Buster, and remember who you're dealing with.
Well, at least we found them. Fortuitous, Captain. And now that we have them all together,
you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs.
The Entertainment Roundtable.
They make one person go, blah, 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 and the other person go, what are you talking about? And then one person goes, blah, 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 blah.
Hey, welcome into it. Saturday morning, could be Saturday evening, depending on when it is that you're listening, and if rain gets in the way, could be Sunday afternoon, who knows. Hopefully everything is going well with you, and welcome into the Entertainment Roundtable. 4 of us, as opposed to 3 of us last week. The 3 that were on last week, myself, Jeff, and David, are all back with you, and with that said, hello, Jeff. How are you, sir?
I'm fantastic. How you doing, Steve?
I cannot complain at all. As we record this on a Friday, thinking about a Friday night viewing of the film Gone Girl with Ben Affleck. We will get into that here in just a little bit. David on the phone as well. Second week in a row. Everything okay, David?
Yeah, everything's fine.
All right. Just wasn't able to make it in the studio this week, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, you know.
Hey, maybe next week.
Was I there last week?
No, you were on the phone from Montgomery. It was birthday
that's
time.
Right.
It was birthday time for you. So
yeah,
hopefully
man.
next week you'll be able to be in the studio. How's that?
The weeks is blurring together, man.
I understand. And a gentleman who was not able to join us last week but is this week. Hello, Jacob. Everything good with you, my friend?
Oh, everything is spectacular.
Wonderful. Happy to hear it. Josh continuing to help the Irwin brothers on their new project. And Ryan got a hold of me about an hour before we started recording on Friday afternoon and said, sorry, I can't make it. Appreciate the heads up. So Jeff stepping up. He's going to take over all the stories that Ryan was initially going to be doing. You to man.
Don't I know it, Steve?
And so just humble as well. It's just amazing. The modesty is just dripping from that microphone over there.
Well, of course it is. Anything upon my mind, too, I accomplish.
Yes.
And now I want to be modest.
You can always check out some of the things that we're talking about, and you might actually get several things that we do not get to through the course of this hour. All you got to do is check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/The Entertainment Roundtable. All of us, all 6 of us that I've just mentioned, all have the ability to post there. You actually posted talking about going into October and horror films in some of your faves.
So, yes, some of my faves so far.
Yeah.
More to come.
We may actually have to do something like that as we get into different seasons, the horror film season, we start to get into Christmas time. Maybe we do Christmas stuff and, just kind of pick things and just all of us chime in and say, hey, this is my favorite when it comes to this particular kind of film.
This is my first year where I'm really digging in. I'm going to try to watch one horror movie a day all October.
Wow.
So far, so good.
Okay. What's on your agenda today?
I'm thinking I want to go horror comedy because the last 2 days it was...
Horror comedy? Okay.
Yeah, I did American Werewolf in London, which has comedic elements, but ends sort of on a down note.
Sure.
And then yesterday was The Mist, the Stephen King story that is just bleak, bleak, bleak. So today I need a little bleakness reset.
Okay.
So something with some laughs in it.
You have an idea of what it's going to be?
Maybe either Slither, You're Next, or Shaun of the Dead. I haven't decided.
Okay. Shaun of the Dead would be good. And I don't know whether you remember this or not, but I want to say it was Richard Benjamin, and I can't think of who else it was. They did the spoof on Friday the 13th. It was called Saturday the 14th.
I remember Saturday the 14th.
I've heard of it.
And yet you've never seen it?
Nope.
I've only seen it once. There's a string of films that I remember having seen once, maybe twice, and I can't find them anywhere. Saturday the 14th is one. Scavenger Hunt is another.
I remember Scavenger Hunt.
Yeah,
I don't know that one.
Dirk Benedict. I was trying to think of some of the people that were in it. But yeah, I would like to actually find that. I thought that was for kind of a lowbrow comedy. It was pretty funny. All right, let's get into things here because time burns quickly, as we have noted on the Entertainment Roundtable here. And we do want to get into this because we didn't touch on it last week because it was the 3 of us, and quite frankly, we hadn't really gotten into the season enough to, I think, know what we felt about a TV series, but maybe kicking off TV shows this time around, we give a couple of reviews. So if you've got a new series that you have an opinion on, we'll give a couple of minutes for that. But first things first, we're up into the movies here with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles barely clinging on to the top 10. Let's Be Cops at 9. Guardians of the Galaxy down to number 8. But hey, $319.1 million. I don't think anybody's crying for them. Walk Among the Tombstones takes a big drop this week, down to number 7. $20.8 million in its 2 weeks. No Good Deed in there at number 6. Dolphin Tale 2 at number 5 with $33.6 million. And then you get into the top 4. This Is Where I Live, $6.8 million this past weekend, $22.4 there. Box Trolls debuts at $17.2 million. Families certainly coming out looking for something for the kids to watch. And the young adults still coming out in droves. The Maze Runner at $17.4 million, so $57.9 there. And that leaves us to the debut of the film The Equalizer, $34.1 million in a film that I liked, I didn't love. So, say what you will. Jacob, you didn't really get much of a chance. I mentioned your review of it last week. You want to expound on it, or you're happy with what you said last week?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I mean, it's a good movie. It's not great. It's not something to go rush out to the theater. But if you're looking for an action movie and you've seen a lot of other good stuff recently that's already out, then it's worth going to spending a few bucks on.
Right, and Denzel Washington does really do a good job in the role, but I think that's more Denzel Washington than anything else.
Yeah. Acting's good, but plot-wise is not.
Right. Coming out this week, and I will ask this from the man who says he wants to see a horror movie every day this month. Any interest in seeing the movie Annabelle, Jeff?
Not really, no.
No. Alfred Woodard, Tony Amendola, and others film about a couple beginning to experience supernatural occurrences involving a vintage doll. By the way, that's not Chucky, just letting you know. But I could see a crossover coming. Chucky meets Annabelle.
Chucky.
Yeah, Chucky meets Annabelle.
No, man, we know what happens to Annabelle. She ends up in those folks'
You know
collection.
what happens to Annabelle? I don't know what happens
You ever
to
seen The
Annabelle.
Conjuring?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a prequel, isn't it?
It sure is. This is about the devil doll that they've already got in their collection at the beginning of The Conjuring.
Oh, so this is basically the backstory about the doll.
Yeah.
That then goes, okay, all right.
That's how comic book movies were complicated.
Yeah, no kidding. A movie that's the total opposite of Annabelle is The Good Lie, starring Reese Witherspoon. It's based on the true story of Sudanese refugees given a chance to resettle in the United States and have a chance meeting with an employment agency counselor. Got a little bit of a faith undertone on that one. And then the film Gone Girl, Ben Affleck, Rosamund Pike, Neil Patrick Harris, and others. Film about a man who becomes the focus of media attention. When his wife disappears, soon enough he becomes the main suspect in what they then think might actually be a murder. Again, a film Jacob and I know are going to try and check out. Jeff, you were talking about possibly going. David, you're free to come along if you're free on a Friday night, too.
Which Friday night?
Tonight.
Tonight.
Yeah, no, I'll be gone.
Okay, 7:30 start, is that correct, Jacob?
Yes.
Okay, so I know two of us are going to be there. Hopefully you'll be able to come, because I know you have expressed interest in this as well.
I have, and it's still, my involvement is still up in the air. I'm waiting to hear about some other issues.
There's always issues, aren't there? Out in limited release, if you're interested, make sure you check around, make sure it's playing near you. Jennifer Garner starring in a film called Men, Women, and Children. I'll get back to this one because I actually have a review of it. So the other one's the French film The Blue Room. I think that says everything. The Hero of Color City. This features voices of Owen Wilson, Christina Ricci, and Wayne Brady. And then the second time for an attempt at making the movie Left Behind, Nicolas Cage, Leah Thompson. Just kind of on a whim, I checked with our friends down at the Amstar Theaters in Alabaster. They are playing this film, so I just decided, okay, I'll go down and check it out. Here's where I'm going to go with this. This is a better film than the Kirk Cameron film.
Hard to not be.
Exactly. This is a very low hurdle to jump, and they just barely cleared it. Not by much. You can tell they put more money into it. You can tell they have a little bit better backing as far as it's concerned. But when you think about a Nicolas Cage and a Leah Thompson, who, granted, they're not A-list actors and they're never considered really, really just major Oscar winners, despite the fact that Nicolas Cage has one of the statues. That said, even for them, the acting is kind of wooden in this, and the special effects are just god-awful.
That's not right.
No, it's not bad at all, or it's just not good at all. It's more watchable than the Kirk Cameron version, but not by much. Again, I give it a 5. I would love to be able to recommend it. I just can't. So there you go. Out in theaters coming out next week, we got The Judge. This is Robert Downey Jr. and Robert Duvall, and gosh, I'm trying to think of all the
Billy
other people.
Bob Thornton.
Billy Bob Thornton's in it. Plenty of people in there. Stephen Carell, Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day, a Disney film, and then Dracula Untold, which my next door neighbor just has this desire to go see.
What's wrong with you?
I'm sorry.
No idea why.
Hope you like it, Steve.
Uh,
Because Universal has decided that this is going to be part of their new monster rollout.
This is going to be part of it?
They're going to fold it in. Yep.
Okay.
All right.
So it looks like they may have their Dracula.
Wow. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
I know how I feel about it.
Oh, by all means, throw it out there. Clean it up first, would you?
I have nothing to do with this. I wash my hands of it.
Yeah, I understand.
Put this on me, man.
I understand, and there's a part of me that just kind of looks at this film and goes, "Really? I don't know whether I want to go see this." But if he wants to go see it, it'll certainly be worth it to give you the review on it anyway.
It might be Monster Iron Man.
It might be,
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm not holding out hope for that, but maybe. We'll just go with that. Let's go ahead and kick into this here because there's plenty of stuff that we want to get to. Let's go ahead and turn our attention over to movie news here. And, Jeff, we're going to start off with you. This is a show that you actually turned me on to, Key and Peele. Apparently, they've announced some plans. They want to turn the show into a movie of sorts. What do you know?
Well, I don't know if anyone is aware of who Mr. Garvey is, but he is the former inner city high school teacher who is now a substitute in the suburbs.
Okay.
And he gets everyone's name wrong, like Aaron and Jaquilin. And then, of course, when they try to correct him, he gets upset.
Right.
Well, they're thinking about doing a Mr. Garvey movie.
Okay. I can see that.
Yeah, Key said that we're in negotiations at Paramount to make a substitute teacher movie. Two of our writers are pinning it. Well, they're not pinning it as we speak, but it's getting there. So.
Okay, now let me say this and understand the fact that in later years it certainly did get bad. But for a while there, you had some Saturday Night Live skits that turned into movies and, met with some success in some levels. Like Wayne's World was good. Wayne's World 2, not necessarily as much. Knowing the character, I've only seen it once or twice. Knowing the character like you do, can you take a skit character and turn it into a full-length feature film in this case and do it successfully?
I kind of got faith in these guys. I think the idea of putting this guy, who, like I said, was a sort of like Morgan Freeman and what was it, Stand By Me?
Right, yeah.
Tough inner-city school teacher used to dealing with everybody that saw, this antagonistic. And put him in this environment, the suburbs with a bunch of white kids and, the neighborhood and just him being antagonist or getting upset with them could be hilarious.
Okay. All right.
I think if any two guys can do it, Key and Peele probably could do the
probably right.
justice.
I have to admit, I'm kind of intrigued.
Yeah, I have faith in them.
Jacob, over to you. And we talked a little bit last week about the planned sequel to The Maze Runner. It's going to be subtitled The Scorch Trials, and there's some new news out about this. What do you know?
Yeah, Hollywood Reporter broke the news that Aidan Gillen, most recently known as Littlefinger on the Game of Thrones, is going to play, has been cast as Jansen, the primary villain of the Scorch Trials, and he's referred to by the characters in the book as the Rat Man, and has an even bigger part in the third book called The Death Cure.
Okay, but we're only confirmed on the second one right now, right?
Correct. Yeah, we don't know that he's going to be in the third one.
We don't even know whether they're going to make the third one. But if Maze Runner continues to do this again, 2 weeks, $57.9 million, it's pretty good probability, I should say.
Yeah, it's not bad money. It's not great money for a young adult film, but not bad.
And as I've been looking around, the more I've seen more and more reviews, this one is getting Maze Runner specifically is getting very positive reviews from most people.
Yeah.
So the more I look at it, the more I think probably we'll end up seeing. And this was only a 3-book series. Am I right about that?
Yes.
Okay.
I know. They're looking at the second movie should be out September 18th, 2015.
Oh, so they're going to do the yearly thing then?
Yeah, it looks like.
Okay. Jeff, a little bit of superhero news, and actually kind of a surprising lack of superhero news this week. But people on the inside, we might be about to see the end of this version of the X-Men. How are we going about this?
Well, Simon Kinberg was interviewed, and he said regarding Apocalypse is that the thrust of the thing is really to complete the trilogy we began with First Class. To complete the stories of a young Raven, young Hank, younger Charles, and Eric. And complete this trilogy of 4 people who began the film sort of disparate and in different worlds who we followed through the span of decades. So basically, yeah, what that means, I don't know if that means these characters may not be back. They plan on introducing a bunch of new characters as well, which they normally do.
Right.
But he also says, which I like, and it really clarifies things, we changed the timeline for everything that came after Days of Future Past. So X-Men 1, 2, and 3, even the Wolverine, So Jean Grey was not killed in The Last Stand, nor was Scott, and a whole lot of other stuff.
So this opens up the door for something past.
They can recast all these characters and just basically start from scratch.
And start all over again. So there is a future for the X-Men on the big screen, I think. Staying with superheroes, Jacob, and one of the actors, the upcoming reboot of Fantastic Four, is feeling like they have to ease the minds of people who felt left down by the first two. What are they saying?
Well, Miles Teller, who is going to play Reed Richards in the upcoming Fantastic Four movie, has recently said in an interview basically that the tone of this film is completely different. And he continues that I think that a more grounded approach is what people are into. You're dealing with these characters, but you're making them real people and how they exist day to day. People want it to be taken more seriously than that kind of Dick Tracy, kitschy, overly comic book world. So there may be a little more reality to this one than a very comic booky type thing. I don't know whether that's a good thing or not, but
okay. The first two, did you like them, Jacob?
No, they were terrible movies.
David?
They were. I didn't even see the second one. They were so bad.
Okay, Jeff, anything? Yeah. I saw the first one. Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces of the second one. No. So I really do hope that they do something a little better. Let's do one more here real quick. And Jeff, to you, one of Ryan's all-time favorite films. I think he actually ranked it number 1 when we did that challenge on Facebook about our 15 favorite movies. Wow. Man of Steel, Kevin Costner, obviously, moving on. Working on a film entitled Criminal. A lot of stars, including one person that he worked with on the film Man of Steel. Who?
Fayora herself, Anche Trau. I believe that's how you say her name. She's the latest to join the Criminal, joining Costner, Gary Oldman, Tommy Lee Jones, and a bunch of others. And the film, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
It follows a dangerous prison inmate, Costner. Implanted with the memories and skills of a dead CIA operative in hopes of stopping a diabolical plot.
Implanted with the memories of a dead CIA operative?
Yes. She will play, get this, it's a stretch for a terrorist henchwoman.
Wow.
I know, right? Muscle
really
again.
Just, that's a big stretch for her.
Come on, Anche.
Go ahead and push Costner to like reality TV on VH1.
I had hope for this. When you were talking about the line, I mean, you think about that lineup, I had hope for it. And then the plot came down, and I'm like, yeah. When is this thing supposed to come down, have they said?
I have no idea, but it can't get here soon enough.
Oh. No, here's the deal. You didn't quite complete that sentence. It can't get here and go away soon enough.
Hope you got your popcorn, because we're back to the Entertainment Roundtable on Superstation 101.
So we come back to the song Escape, the Pina Colada song. The reason we do that is because I couldn't find anything out of this week's new films. There was just nothing worthy that stuck out, so I went back to our old standby of Guardians of the Galaxy and chose one off the awesome mixtape that our lead character had.
The soundtrack for that movie has been very good to us.
Yes, it has. Sad to say that it's about to drop out of the top 10. Hopefully we can get maybe one more week out of it. All right.
Something tells me 10 years from now when we're still doing this show that we'll still be going to that soundtrack as I couldn't find anything. We'll go back to the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack.
Yeah, no kidding. It's become the latest Forrest Gump soundtrack. Let's actually stick with Marvel here. Jacob, to you. And a guy who wasn't obviously seen in Guardians of the Galaxy, but Robert Downey Jr. He's been starting to intimate out there that the third Avengers film might not be his last turn as Tony Stark after all.
Yeah, I mean, he's only contracted to do Avengers 3, and that should be his last one. But talks of Iron Man 4 have been kind of up in the air. The Hollywood Reporter recently quoted him saying that I'm sure we'll ride that thing. You've got to surf that all the way into shore. Mm-hmm. Of course, that doesn't really mean anything, but kind of think that he's interested in continuing playing it, but we just don't know if Marvel will be willing to pay the price to get him for Iron Man 4.
That's the key, because they paid him a handsome sum to do Iron Man 3.
Right. So, whether they can actually, pay that kind of cash for him for that, I don't know.
Okay.
They'll need to.
David, you were about to say something?
No.
No, okay.
They should just pay him whatever he wants. Honestly.
Yeah.
Well, so far it's proven to be worth it because regardless of what you may think about the quality of the films, and it's a little uneven, certainly from 1 into 2, but you can't argue with the box office results because each successive movie has made more than the previous one, and by leaps and bounds when you went from 2 to 3.
I mean, I'm sure that they'll get greedy like most studios do and think, like, well, I mean, look at all the money that these other movies have made. We don't have to have him. And that's where they're going to screw up.
Yeah, you're probably right. But let's stick with that. One more note from Marvel here, and then we'll move on to other films that are not superhero-related. Jeff, dealing in this time with the planned Doctor Strange standalone film, and what are we hearing on this? Are we getting people attached to this? Are we getting somewhere with this? Is it gaining traction?
Well, the last we heard was that they were in serious talks with Joaquin Phoenix.
Right.
Well, those have come to an end.
Ah.
And not in
no Joaquin Phoenix.
And not with a signature.
You like that, David?
Yes.
Okay.
We don't need another Fruit Loops actor like Edward Norton showing up and trying to screw up Marvel movies.
Okay. Who would you rather see in the role?
Anyone else.
Okay, so you don't have an idea of who you want to see. You're just glad that it's not Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, he's too messy, man.
All right. Anybody that you prefer to see in this role, Jeff?
Not really, and though everybody and their brother was reporting yesterday that they were talking to Ethan Hawke, apparently that is not exactly.
I don't know as I see
True.
Ethan Hawke in this.
I don't either.
I know enough. I'm not exactly a master of the Doctor Strange background, but I don't see Ethan Hawke as being Doctor Strange. Jacob, any ideas on this?
I don't have any idea. My current hope is the guy who played Booger from Revenge of the Nerds series. That's my current.
Would definitely fit the Strange side of things, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Jacob, to you. And the last we heard from the set of Olympus Has Fallen, they had lost a director. So now there's good news if you're interested in London Has Fallen.
Yeah, they have gotten Babak Najafi, a Scandinavian director who has directed the very recognizable hits Snabba-Cash sequel and Easy Money 2, Hard to Kill. He is in talks to replace Frederick Bond on this movie, so things are looking great.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
That's a word.
This is going to be wonderful.
Yeah, that's
Super sequel number 9, Cash Cow Boom.
Jeff, over to you.
It's interesting that he's only directed sequels. I mean,
yeah, that's not really a good sign at all. Jeff, to you, and there's a film coming out here pretty soon that's going to be called Stretch. What do we know about this film?
Apparently, it had a trailer released this week.
Oh, did you see it?
No, but it did show Patrick Wilson is in the movie.
Yeah.
And he plays a guy who needs $6,000. He's a limo driver. That's what it is. By midnight, in order to pay off some gambling debts.
Or what? They're going to take his limo away?
Why? There's a threat having been made against his life, Steve. That's nothing to joke about, buddy.
Gotcha. Okay.
But no one kills his dog, right?
Yeah, something like that. But it's got Chris Pine in it. Maybe he's playing the dog. Jessica Alba, Ray Liotta, Ed Helms. So I mean, it's got a pretty decent cast.
Ed Helms?
Ed Helms, yes, sir.
Oh, I'm thinking of.
You thinking Ed Harris?
Yeah, wait, no. So yeah, Ed Helms, like the Office actor.
Yeah, Ed Helms.
Yes, Ed Helms from The Hangover Helms.
Okay.
Facial tattoo, Ed Helms.
Suddenly, this has perked your interest, Jacob.
No, I'm just saying that's an odd casting.
Oh, okay.
The rest of the cast.
All right. This thing is coming out soon?
Available to download on the 7th.
Available to download on the 7th.
Oh.
With a big screen date yet to be confirmed.
Aha. Yeah, that says a lot to me. Let's go to the third installment of Star Trek for the second week. Last week talked about William Shatner. Shatner himself now talking about the rumors. Jeff, is the original Captain Kirk going to appear? Has he said anything about that, or what is he saying?
Steve, given the story, I bet he has said something.
Okay.
You want to know what it is?
I do.
He told Abrams, it depends on what you do with the character, but I would be delighted. He then promised Abrams he'd stay quiet. Said, I won't even tell my wife. I won't tell anyone. I wouldn't do that, JJ. He says he gets back from Australia, and it's everywhere. So he's down with it.
Okay.
He'll be in your movie.
Again, I just don't want it to be just throwing him in there just for the sake of throwing him.
Hey, at least it gives him a chance to kill him again.
Well, that's true, too. Jacob, former Bond as a drug designer. Pierce Brosnan set to come into a role in a film entitled Urge. Tell me about the film.
Yeah, it's about a group of friends who, while on a holiday at an island destination, take part in a new designer drug that makes them lose their ability to control their urges. Bronson will play the creator and gatekeeper of the island's new drug.
James Bond got a bad new bag, baby.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That
sounds like Lucy with a different spelling.
You might be actually onto something there. Jeff, Dennis Quaid attached to a scandal picture. It's entitled Truth. What is this film about?
That'd be about he's going to be playing Colonel Roger Charles.
Okay.
The story of the scandal that ended the careers of Dan Rather and 60 Minutes producer Mary Mapes. I mean, you got folks like Robert Redford, Kate Blanchett, James Vanderbilt's directing. Elizabeth Moss is in there. They start shooting this week, and apparently the colonel served 2 tours in Vietnam and was in the Pentagon and was working with 60 Minutes. So he worked with Mapes when she broke the blockbuster scandalous news story of the Abu Ghraib prison abuse.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. But this one's not about that. This one's the one Dan Rather. This would have been because Abu Ghraib wasn't the one that ended Dan Rather's career. It was him.
Yeah,
showing pictures of George W. Bush in his National Guard days.
Yeah, after that story, they went after saying George W. Bush had ducked serving in Vietnam, and took some bad tips basically. So that was the one that.
Okay, so this is going to be about that more.
It was the made up documents.
Gotcha. Okay. Scandal pictures like this don't really go very far, though. I mean, I can remember All the President's Men, Dustin Hoffman and Robert Redford, but other than that, I haven't seen a whole lot of scandal pictures really gain ground as far as making money at a box office.
Yeah, that's kind of
sorry,
true.
I fell asleep. What?
Sorry, I tried to spice it up a little bit.
As if to prove our point.
Dubious documents, y'all.
Yeah, exactly here.
Edge of your seat stuff.
God, 3rd week in a row, we're going to talk about the Magic Mike sequel, Magic Mike XXL, talking about people out of the movie, people into the film. Jacob, which one are we getting this week?
We're getting some new actors in this week.
Okay, so this is in.
Community star Donald Glover, Elizabeth Banks, and the surprising one, Michael Strahan.
Michael Strahan?
Has now joined the cast.
Michael Strahan. Okay. Michael Strahan is about to become as bad as Ryan Seacrest. He's going to be everywhere doing everything.
Yeah.
That said, some of the people, they have a little bit more to say about the film. Are they trying to, reveal the plot or what?
Well, we now have a synopsis.
Oh, okay. Well, do we want to know it?
I'll read it.
Okay, go for it.
Picking up the story 3 years after Mike bowed out of the stripper life at the top of his game, Magic Mike XXL finds the remaining Kings of Tampa likewise ready to throw in the towel. But they don't want to do it their way. But they want to do it their way, burning down the house in one last blowout performance in Myrtle Beach, and with legendary headliner Magic Mike sharing the spotlight with them. On the road to their final show with whistle stops in Jacksonville and Savannah to renew old acquaintances and make new friends, Mike and the guys learn some new moves and shake off the past in surprising ways.
Gosh.
I think I just lost a piece of my soul.
Yeah, no kidding. This is Magic Mike meets the Full Monty meets the World Tour. Yikes. I think I'll skip that. But then again, speaking of scantily dressed people, Jeff, to you, word about plans of a movie version of the old TV show Baywatch, to which reportedly Dwayne Johnson is being linked to, but now all of a sudden we're thinking there might get a TV reboot. What's the full story?
Let me clear something up for you.
Please clear this up.
Dwayne Johnson has confirmed his involvement in a raunchy Baywatch movie from the guys what brought us We're the Millers and Horrible Bosses 2.
Okay.
The script that was originally written by Reno 911 co-creator Robert Ben Garrett is being given a once-over, and The Rock's on board. We got our directors, and now they just have to fill the rest of the cast and set a date.
Okay, so probably not on the TV side, especially not this version, because the raunchy side of it is certainly a far cry from what we saw. Granted, we saw the slow-motion activity in the TV show, but that's far cry from being raunchy.
Right. And I'm sure if this one is successful, there will sequels ad nauseum.
Yeah, really. What are we up to on Fast and Furious? 12, 13, 25?
I bet that since The Rock's going to be, it's going to be electrifying.
That would be one way to put it, but I'm not really certain that's the way I would put it.
If Hasselhoff's not involved, I want nothing to do with it.
He's got to show up in at least a cameo, doesn't he?
You would think.
I'm sure he would.
Maybe he's a mentor.
Ooh, that's an interesting point.
For what?
The Rock, of course.
Maybe he's a Sea-Doo instructor. I don't know, man. Leave me alone.
Let's see here. I just saw this film. I had it on the DVR for a long time, and I kind of hesitated and didn't really know whether I wanted to watch it or not, and finally just said, okay, I'm going to watch it. Hansel and Gretel, Witch Hunters. There's a sequel. We know it's coming out. Jeremy Renner is attached on it, but Jeff, trouble on the set?
Yes, there is. I think the director's out. I didn't put that story on. Give me the details. I'm pretty sure the director's out.
Darn, that's a shame.
I don't know if they found a replacement yet, but if they have, it's not the sequel guy.
Who was the director?
I don't know.
It might have been the guy that did the first one, but here's the thing. The first one was not that good.
His name was Tommy Wirkola.
Oh.
Okay. Well, either way, the first one, it wasn't that good. I watched it. It wasn't. I don't even know how people think that it's worth having a sequel.
No.
And if I were Jeremy Renner, who has, the thought that he might appear in Captain America 3 and at least a cameo, he's got Avengers 2 and 3 coming up, and he's being attached to the latest Bourne film, which, despite the fact that it's no longer about the character that we saw in the most recent one, as we're getting apparently Matt Damon and Paul Greengrass back, word is he would appear in that. He's got so much better stuff that's lined up for him to go and appear in. Why would you go back to this?
He's probably contractually obligated.
God, I don't even know why they're making this. Did it make that much money that it warranted a sequel? I don't even know how much money it made.
I forgot it existed.
Witches, man, what you gonna do?
I guess. God, it just wasn't that good. For a film that I actually want to talk about, Jeff, and fans of the Kevin Smith movie series Clerks got some good news there.
Sure?
Sure.
Okay, Kevin Smith says, thanks to Tusk, he's got his funding for Clerks 3.
Is Kevin Smith that broke that he had to go and get people to fan fund his new movie?
Probably.
I think he's one of these that spends a lot of money.
It does appear that way.
All right, so here's what Mr. Smith had to say.
Yes.
And I'm going to quote.
Oh, here we go, quoting.
Tusk was the absolute bridge to Clerks 3. Because of Tusk, I got my financing for Clerks 3. A year and change ago, I was desperately trying to get Clerks 3 made for the 20th anniversary, and that desperation, I must have reeked of it, because I couldn't find money, but it was Tusk, people going, holy, what else do you have? And I was like, Clerks 3, and they're like, done. So everybody that's like, he failed. I'm like, thank you, I failed into Clerks 3. The end.
Had to be about right. Jacob, moving on, and I can't believe we're going this way. We've seen movies based upon video games before, and this one I got to know. They want to make a movie out of this, one of the more popular video games of all time. I just don't know how are they going to make a movie out of the video game Tetris.
Oh, this story makes me weep for Hollywood.
Yeah, I agree.
Threshold Entertainment has announced that they are developing a live-action film based on Tetris. It's being described as a very big, epic sci-fi movie. For anyone who has doubts about this, which is everyone with a brain. They say this isn't a movie with a bunch of lines running around the page. We're not just giving feet to the geometric shapes.
So in other words, we're going to call this Tetris, but it has nothing to do with the game.
Yes,
starring Shia LaBeouf.
It's going to be a remake of. It's going to be a redo of Battleship, basically.
Yes, that was exactly where I was about to go. The movie Battleship had only one scene that came anywhere close to being even mentioning the board game, coming anywhere close to the board game. It was a horrible film. I don't know how they're going to do this, and I'm not really looking forward. But this has a green light. It's going.
Yeah, it's apparently going.
Yikes.
I don't know how far it's going to get, but it's going.
Well, speaking about going far, Jacob, plans for a movie based upon the game Angry Birds?
Yeah, they've kind of released a cast list, and it's actually not a horrible cast list. You got Jason Sudeikis, Josh Gad, Danny McBride, Bill Hader, Maya Rudolph, Peter
They're definitely
Dinklage.
going comedy on this.
To name a few, there's a ton of others. That's, like I say, that's trying to cut this short. I don't know what the plot of this is. I'm sure it's going to have something to do with pigs stealing eggs and then the birds having to go kill pigs.
Because they're angry?
I think
they're angry.
They're upset about them stealing the eggs.
Yeah.
This is one franchise I would like to see Michael Bay get his hands on.
Yes, Michael Bay would do this justice.
Might be a little bit too much on the explosion side, just to say.
It's an animated film, though, so I don't know if he would have anything to do
Probably
with it.
not. Jeff, back to you here. Alec Baldwin, Kevin Spacey, and speaking of animated films, going to lend their voices to a film that's entitled Boss Body?
Actually, it's Boss Baby.
Boss Baby,
Yeah,
okay.
it's from DreamWorks, and it's going to be released on March the 18th, 2016. Directed by Tom McGrath, who also directed Madagascar and Megamind, which I love.
Yeah, good movie.
Welcome to Metrocity. Let's see. It was written by Michael McCullers, who did some writing on the Austin Powers films, and Boss Baby is a fantastical family comedy centering on a fast-talking briefcase-carrying baby and his 7-year-old brother who is jealous of him. And Alec Baldwin's going to be Boss Baby, y'all.
All righty then.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of Alec Baldwin, but I'll wait and see what happens when it comes to the first. Because my wife and I, we like to go see some of the animated films because some of them are pretty funny. Like you get a Wreck-It Ralph or something like that. It's a lot of fun. Lego Movie was actually good. I'm not saying this is going to be on that level, but I'm intrigued.
Well, Kevin Spacey's going to be the CEO of Puppy Co. And he's threatening to destroy the balance of love in the world. Yeah. He's going to destroy it, the balance.
In other words, this is a true life story of Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, man. They're going to try to restore order to the world and prove that love is indeed an infinite force.
Right.
So, uplifting.
All right. When do they want to try and get this thing out?
Like
they say?
March 2016, I do believe. Yeah, buddy, March 18th.
All right.
Baby.
One more note here, and then we're going to turn our attention over to television side. Jacob Disney, live-action version of the animated Beauty and the Beast. We talked about that, and somehow they're connecting this to the movie The Perks of Being a Wallflower. How's that working?
Yeah, well, Disney's planning, much like the Jungle Book, they're planning a live-action remake of Beauty and the Beast, and they're letting the screenwriter, author, director of The Perks of Being a Wallflower, Stephen Chbosky, is going to do a rewrite of the live-action adaptation. So you've got that. Also, it's kind of interesting, just like the Jungle Book, Warner Brothers is also doing a live-action version of Beauty and the Beast because, can't just have one.
We can't just have one, that's right.
And it's attached to the Warner Brothers project. Perks of Being a Wallflower star Emma Watson is signed on to play the lead role.
So we're getting 2 versions of this, and we're getting 2 versions of the Jungle Book. Yay.
And we've had 2 Snow Whites.
Yay.
This is exactly what I needed.
Yep. And what we need to do now is take a break because, wow, we just really ended on a very down note because Hollywood just has no original ideas anymore.
But we've got some other good news.
Boss Baby.
You're listening to the Entertainment Roundtable on Superstation 101.
Hey, welcome back in. Coming back to the music of Monday Night Football because the FCC has made a ruling that may affect the ability to watch football. We'll talk about that coming up in just a bit. Right now, coming up next Tuesday into the stores that you may, if you choose to, want to buy. You could choose from 3 films: The Underperforming and Underrated Edge of Tomorrow, the lackluster comedy A Million Ways to Die in the West. You also have the Diamond edition of the Disney animated movie Sleeping Beauty. So, sure enough, I'm certain that that's going to be made into a live-action film. Meantime, for TV series, got Season 3 of American Horror Story Coven, Season 6 of Duck Dynasty, a box set of the entire series of Psych. There's Season 2 of Vikings and Season 1 of The Wonder Years, or if you would prefer, Tuesday you could also buy a box set of the entire series instead of buying them piecemeal, one at a time. Jeff, also getting word that even though it's not out of the top 10 yet, the biggest moneymaker of the year so far, Guardians of the Galaxy, set a date to come out on video just in time for Christmas?
Yeah, you can get your grubby paws on Groot on December the 9th.
Yeah. Figures just in time for Christmas. But
Yes,
hey,
sir.
that works out just perfectly for me because that is now added to my Christmas wish list. TV news here, and Jacob, we'll get to the NFL thing here in just a second. First up, I want to go to you because most of us on this panel, we grew up with Saturday morning cartoons, 70s, 80s, 90s even in the case of Ryan. But it appears that time passing away. What's going on with Saturday morning cartoons?
Well, for those of you listening to the Saturday version of this, or playing of this show, It's a sad day for network television. It's the first Saturday since the 60s that animated shows have not been part of the network lineup. Last Saturday, CW showed the last animation on a network broadcast, and it's the first time since the 60s. So it's still going to be doing kids shows, but they're all live action. So
passing of an era.
Cartoons, definitely on your cable channels. They're still going strong on your
Yeah, but I mean, I used to, and I've said this many, many times. I remember getting up in the morning. Couldn't get me up during the week to go to school for anything, but man, I was up 6 o'clock in the morning downstairs with a bowl of cereal in my lap watching Super Friends.
Oh yeah.
Are you kidding me? On Friday nights, we always used to say tomorrow's cartoon day and be excited about it. It was cartoon. It was
cartoon day.
It was cartoon day.
Good night, man.
Well,
how things have changed.
For me, Saturday mornings was Batman the Animated Series and the X-Men.
See, there you go.
Good. The good news to come out of this.
Yeah.
No more, at least in the future, there will be no more cartoon reboots.
I guess that's a positive. I don't know.
Michael Bay can get his hands on no more.
There's that.
Cutting the tap dry.
No, but he'll just keep doing Transformers.
Yeah.
Michael Bay will have to come up with his own ideas.
Or just keep doing Transformers until he dies. Not that it ever really affected Birmingham much, Jacob, but a recent rule by the FCC might have the NFL changing policy regarding their blackouts. It would change an order that's pretty much stood all of my life. What did the FCC rule here?
Basically, the FCC voted to eliminate the blackout rule, and that rule prevented cable and satellite systems from showing an NFL or other major sporting event that was blacked out on a local broadcast station in the market. Basically, it was created in 1975 when, the NFL's greatest source of revenue came from gate receipts.
Right.
But FCC Commissioner Tom Wheeler said, today the NFL is an entertainment powerhouse. Clearly, the NFL no longer needs the government to help remain viable.
Well, this will help those people who happen to visit Jacksonville, Florida on Sundays in the fall because now, since none of the Jacksonville games are ever sold out, people could watch them on TV at least if those 5 people who are fans actually wanted to.
Wait a second.
Jacksonville fans?
There got to be a couple.
A government agency just relinquished some.
Yeah, they just laxed some regulations. It's amazing. It's a banner day. To network TV, Jacob, ABC, thinking about the future of the show Mistresses. What is the future of the show Mistresses?
Well, they've renewed it for a 3rd season, so if you like your adulterous drama, you can see it again.
Here's the problem with it, and I tried to watch it because it had this particular person in it, but it was just a horribly bad show. And now the person that I was going to watch the show for in the first place is leaving.
Yeah, they are losing Alyssa Milano. Because they're moving the production to Canada, and she doesn't want to go there.
So in other words, this show is now officially dead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, David.
Sorry. No, that's all I had.
Okay, just checking. Jeff, staying with ABC, moving on to the show Agent Carter, adding more to the cast here, but in this case, it's really more of a return.
That's right. Howard Stark is finally pinned. Signed on the dotted line, yeah.
Inked.
Dominic Cooper is going to join the cast. Apparently, he's been kind of holding out for a little bit, but they've settled on a price, I think.
Okay, so we got Agent Carter, we got Howard Stark. We still haven't really heard much about the team, though, that Cap put together.
Right, the Howling Commandos.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all guessed, at the very beginning of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2 premiere.
Yeah, but we don't know beyond that, do we?
Not a whole lot of them, no.
Okay.
I don't want my Dum Dum Dugan.
I want him to come back. That's one of the best parts about the whole thing. Get that team together and have some fun with it. You're not going to have Cap, obviously, because, well, we saw he went down to the plane.
He's a capsicle.
Yeah, pretty much. Nice. Over to Fox. Jacob going back to the 80s for a new TV show. They're looking to make a series out of the Tom Hanks movie Big.
Yeah, enlisted executive producers and also executive producers for a bunch of other failed TV shows. Kevin Bible and Mike Royce are trying or have gotten Fox to put together some money for a TV version of Big. It'll be a half-hour comedy, and it's going to explore what it means to be an adult, what it means to be a kid, and how in today's world those two things are more confused than ever. And it will be canceled after 1 season.
if it makes it that far. Speaking of movies being made into TV shows, Warner Brothers, Jeff, they've decided they want to make a series out of a Jackie Chan film, even though Chan himself is interested in making a 4th film in the franchise. All right, so here we go. Rush Hour, what's up?
Yeah, they're going to make a TV show of it.
Okay, so movie is done or just on the back burner?
They're not really talking about a movie. They're just basically going to turn into a TV show with Brett Ratner producing, and it's going to be the same thing. You got your stoic Asian police officer comes to America, teamed up with a mouthy LAPD officer.
Okay, so Warner Brothers is producing this. Do they have a network they're going to put this thing on, or is it too early in the process? Do we know?
Nope, didn't see.
Okay, so they just have plans to do it, and they're hoping that somebody's going to buy it.
I believe so.
Not really a big fan of this idea. One more note, Jeff, MTV specifically, they picked up a show they described as a mystery comedy. The pilot directed from an actor that we know from the show Scrubs. What do you got as far as details on this?
Yeah, it's going to be called Self-Promotion, a dark comedy pilot that centers on overworked assistant Katie Preston, who discovers that her dragon lady boss is missing. Or worse. With things getting messy fast, and Katie, believing she'll be the prime suspect, covers up the crime scene.
All right. We have decided we're going to put a cap on this because I'm just not interested in the Zach Braff thing because it's MTV, and MTV has gotten really, really bad.
Okay.
I'm hoping Zach Braff can bring him up, but I don't have a whole lot of hope in that. But we're going to go ahead and call this our Summer Movie League draft.
You're calling it?
It's close, but it's just not close enough. And considering the fact that his last hope is about ready to fall out of the top 10, I would say it's pretty much done. Summer Movie League draft, the official winner is Jeff.
What?
Jeff will get his prize officially next week. $862.8 million. Jacob second, $810.2 million. Coming in third was Josh, $783 million. I came in fourth, $651.7. As far as the back markers there, David, you didn't finish in last.
Yay.
$381.7 million to Ryan's $356.1 million. So congratulations to you, Jeff.
Oh, Hercules. Ryan didn't beat me. That's all I care.
That's right. We are going to do a version of this here in a couple of weeks. Next week, we'll give you a little bit more of the details on it, but we're set to do a fall version. Jacob and I are working it up right now.
By the way, I got to doing the math on it. Ryan had chosen Sin City, A Dame to Kill For, which only made $13 million.
Right.
I got to looking at the other movies that did not get chosen.
Right.
He would have made more money with any other movie he would have chosen.
He could have picked any other film.
It was the lowest. It was the lowest amount of any movie on the slate.
Let me ask this question. Of all the films that did not get picked on that slate, what was the one that made the most money? Or do you know right offhand?
I don't know right offhand.
That would have been interesting to see if that would have changed any of the final stats. But next week we'll give you details, kind of set the parameters on the fall one that we're going to do, and get you going there. Real quick, talking about some TV shows, I came across this story, and I'm only giving this because of the purposes of letting you know I haven't seen any of these. But a lady on Yahoo.com has given her idea of the 5 worst TV shows this season so far. ABC's Manhattan Love Story was 5, Fox's Mulaney 4, NBC's The Mysteries of Laura 3, which my wife is actually watching. Number 2 was CBS's Stalker and NBC's Bad Judge. I didn't have an urge to watch any of those. That said, Jacob, you've watched a couple of new TV shows. Real quick synopsis here with about, a minute or so left here in the show?
Okay.
So a minute till music here. Jacob, real quick synopsis of what you really, really like.
Okay, we've got Gotham. It's out. Gotham. It's the prequel to Batman, starring James Gordon, or not starring, but centered around James Gordon.
Right.
I have a little bit of an issue with it because it seems to not know if it wants to be a procedural drama or wants to be a prequel to Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's some identity stuff there. For me, it's a 2.5. It could be good, but I'm holding out on it. So,
okay.
Then I also watched Grace Point. It's the American remake of Broadchurch.
Right.
It's also starring the same actor, David Tennant, who plays an American in this one, which is very strange. He actually still does a better American accent than Christopher Eccleston, but anyways, which doesn't take much. so far episode 1 almost shot for shot remake. They've changed a few things. I don't know if they're going to redo the whole thing, but also kind of iffy on how it's going. I'm giving it a 3 because it's decent, but so far the British version's been better.
Gotcha. Okay. We'll probably delve into this a little bit more next week when Ryan comes back, and we'll kind of start to just do a little bit less news and a little bit more of the reviews side on the TV news season, which is now well underway. In the meantime, David, we can find you online. Where, sir?
You can find my comedy sketches and original web series at maladjusted.tv.
Very good. Jacob, thank you so much. Looking forward to checking out Gone Girl tonight. Hopefully it's going to be, well, it can't be worse than Left Behind, can it?
Yeah.
I hope it's not. And Jeff, we would love to have you along for the ride, sir.
Hopefully I can make it.
Y'all have a fantastic weekend. If it's Saturday morning, Joe Lockett Show is up next. Saturday evening, fastest hour in radio in